Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again. Just with a quick video guys, wanted to talk about my 2-week review of this Galaxy S20 Ultra. Now this is going to be a quick one because I know this is not a very popular phone on the channel. A lot of you guys are not even considering this device, and considering the starting price of $1,400 US, this phone needed to be incredible. This phone needed to be the best phone of 2020 and then some to really justify the purchase price. There's so many aspects of this phone that I do enjoy. The design, though, is not one of them. This black back, I typically keep it in a case because it is just such a fingerprint magnet, and the giant camera bump is really a nuisance in many cases. Now, I think I still like the black version over the gray. The gray, I've seen it, it doesn't look any better, and I just think Samsung missed the mark in terms of the color choices they gave people for this phone. But there is one aspect of this phone that I have absolutely loved, and that is the display at 120 Hz and a gorgeous 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED display. Let's face it guys, there is no other phone that can touch this display. Viewing angles, color accuracy is incredible, and then you add to that the 120 Hz, which I'll tell you, after a while of use, you start noticing the difference between 120 Hz and 90 Hz, and it really does feel like the place that most phones will eventually get. 90 Hz is definitely a sweet spot in terms of battery life, but this phone lasted 8 hours of screen on time even at 120 Hz. If you want the best display in any smartphone this year, then this is your choice. Performance has also been very impressive. This phone just flies through everything it does, and as you can see, the version I got is the 256 gig, 12 gigabytes of storage version. In terms of audio, we have really great dual firing speakers on this phone. They don't rival, I think, the Mate 20X, but they get pretty close, and I would give this probably like a 9 out of 10 in terms of audio quality. But let's face it guys, the major selling point for this phone has been the cameras, with a 108 megapixel main sensor and with the periscope camera and the promised 100 times space zoom. This phone has taken some pretty impressive shots. But despite that, as you know from all the headlines, there's been a lot of issues with the software of this phone. I myself have had some autofocus issues when using this camera, both in photo and video. And as you can see here, we are still waiting for the big camera software update, but I do have security level up to March 1st, which is a good thing to see here. Now, I would say in terms of potential, there is more potential for this to be a great camera on this S20 Ultra than on any other phone I've tested. These sensors are just off the charts in terms of their hardware capability, but it is the software that is letting it down, and I'm still getting better quality photos from my Mi 10 Pro, from my iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, this phone is not released publicly yet in many countries. In Hong Kong, for example, it's going to be released next week. And so hopefully they'll have a lot of these camera issues settled by then. But out of the gate, I think it's really tarnished what people expected from this S20 Ultra and what they actually received. So much so that you've seen publications like The Verge and other prominent YouTubers basically saying, skip out on this S20 Ultra. You're better off getting an S20 or an S20 Plus. And those phones are using sensors that I think are much more tried and tested, and thus are getting better results. And to sum this phone up, I really got to say, it's basically all the specs and the kitchen sink thrown at you in one phone. And if you are a spec junkie, if you wanted to just have the top of the line, spec sheet, which I know a lot of you guys do out there, you have it here in this S20 Ultra. 6.9-inch 2K display, Check. 5,000 milliampere battery? Check. 12 gigs of RAM up to 16 gigs and top of the line Snapdragon 865? Check. Dual firing speakers? Check. 108 megapixel selfie camera with unprecedented 100 times space zoom, the highest hybrid zoom on a phone? Check. So you see, everything about this phone is about the specs. But sadly, I think for many of you guys, considering the price of this phone at $1,400 entry level, it is simply too much for too little. And I think for many of you, you will be happier with one of the lower S20 models over this S20 Ultra. If you're in the Samsung camp and you want the best of the best and you just want all the specs, you clearly know who you are and you've probably already ordered your S20 Ultra. But in the case of the rest of us, there are just so many other good phones out there, like the Mi 10 series, like the Black Shark 3 series, and other phones from other OEMs like Xiaomi that are just offering so much value for so much less. It's really hard to recommend this phone, but I will say it has been a joy to use. The display's been incredible. And yes, unfortunately, I will be parting with this phone very soon because I just can't justify the expense, and selling this phone will allow me to continue finding other things to review for the channel. It's been a guilty pleasure enjoying this phone. Considering the price point, I just can't justify it any longer. And that's it, guys, for this quick video. And hit me up in the comments. Did you like this S20 Ultra, or did you think that it was always overpriced from the start? Would love to hear your thoughts. That's it for this one. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for future updates. And stay tuned, guys. I do have a comparison coming up right now with the Xiaomi Mi 10 versus the Black Shark 3. Let's get started. That's it for this one. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one.